What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand spanking new episode of the Motivate, Grind, Succeed podcast. You all see the title. You all see who we have on the show. We have Marnye Moore on the show. Marnye is a former executive assistant and Girl Friday. And if you have no idea what that means, don't worry. We're going to ask her what that means. She'll be able to explain it perfectly fine. She's had lots of opportunities to create and manage every aspect of the office. After years of being behind the scenes and making others shine, she's changed course and started applying those same skills to motivational development. Her work is all about results and your goals. And that's fantastic. That's exactly what we're going to be talking about today, goal setting. So for all you people who need help with your goals, this is the episode for you. She helps people make decisions about how they want to move their life forward, create their own success and their own freedom. And she's here today to help you answer the question, what does it look like to you? Marnye, thank you so much for coming on the show. How are you today?
I am amazing. That was a great introduction. I did a good job of writing that.
That you did. Absolutely fantastic introduction. I was
Excellent.
like,
I
this is
really like
perfect.
that.
This is a perfect
Okay.
introduction.
Thank you. Thank you. That was good.
All right, awesome. So again, thank you so much for coming on the show. And in typical guest fashion, we're just gonna kind of let you kind of take the reins here. Just give us your life story from like little Marnye up until where you are now, how you got involved into what you're doing now,
Yeah.
who inspired you to be able to change, or what inspired you to be able to change, who motivated you to be able to do just the whole. The floor is yours. Take as long as you need. Just go ahead and give us the story of how you got from where you started to where you are now.
Okay. My name is Marnye, and I am traditionally or historically from the Pacific Northwest. My partner and I just moved to Summerville, South Carolina, just for something to do. He and I were looking for better weather, a new lifestyle, a change of pace, and we just opted to pick up and move across the country. And so here we are now at this stage of my life. I am working with people so that they can find their own personal success. And success is whatever that is to you, such that you can spend your time doing what it is that you want to do. It has nothing to do with your bank account. It has nothing to do with your job title. It has nothing to do with the address on the outside of the house or your physical fitness. Yet all of those things come together to create your life. And the more that you level up, the more success you have. But success, again, is how you want to spend your days. It's not how I see it, it's how you see it. And that's what I focus on. I spent a lot of my life very average, just your average family, public school, did this, did that. Anyway, lots of years as an executive assistant, and I was behind the scenes making those guys look good. My job was to write the speech, make sure their tie was straight, help them rehearse, pick up the little pieces here and there, and get all of those things going. And I was the Girl Friday, which meant that I was the one woman in a very small office, and my job was to do everything. And Girl Friday is a reference to a very old book, Robinson Crusoe, and he met a native on the island after he was shipwrecked, and he met him on what he thought was a Friday, and so he called him Friday. And Friday did everything for him and helped him to survive, thrive, and eventually succeed. I'm Girl Friday. It's a common term in a small office. It's a common term. Anyway, it's not a bad term. It's just what it is. Anyway, so after years and years of doing this, one day I found myself not too terribly long ago, probably 5 years ago, sitting at my desk in a very good job, nice area, nice people. And I was sobbing because I was bored out of my mind. There just had to be something more for me to do. And there really wasn't a way for me to level up in the company that I was in. I needed to do something different. And one day I saw an advertisement for a personal coach on Facebook because that's how I was spending my time. I was bored out of my mind. I just needed to do something different. So it was staring at Facebook. And I found a personal coach. And she was a lovely woman, and she helped me to start leveling up. She pushed me to start leveling up. And what I learned out of that was, even though my life was perfectly fine and good enough, there was more to be had, and that good enough is not good. And if you have an urge to go further, You owe it to yourself and your creator, whoever that might be, to go farther. Your parents raised you to be better than them, not to achieve the same lifestyle. And a lot of people do. They get to that same lifestyle that their parents had. You know what? This was good enough for them. It should be good enough for me. But if you have any kind of an urge to do more, you need to do more.
Mm,
And if you, whatever that looks like, and start with one thing and go to the next thing, and don't worry about your overall purpose, that will come. As you start achieving goals, set a goal that you can see and go for it. And then set a goal that you can't see, but you know it's out there, and follow that. You'll start getting more and more. So that's what I'm all about today. I found mentors, I found people that I followed. Um, Let me see. Earlier, you and I were talking that your group is college student and just after college, and they're getting their life going. And the people that draw to, so let me say this, let me do this whole disclaimer. Nobody needs a personal coach. However, if you want to go somewhere further and farther and faster, you get a coach. Every executive in the world has a coach. Every major athlete has a coach. Every CEO has a coach. Every musician has somebody pushing them to go harder and help them find their stumbling blocks. The football coach does not throw the ball. He's talking to the guys about what they're thinking, what he wants them to see, how he wants to see that play come through. That's what a coach is going to do. They aren't your hero, they're your guide. They're the driving force holding you accountable. And that's what I want you to see. It's okay to stand on the shoulders of those who have gone before you. You do not need to do all the work yourself. Okay, your turn.
Oh, that was great. That was fantastic. That was a great introduction. I absolutely loved it.
Thank
Um,
you.
Definitely like that that good isn't good enough point that you brought up. It reminded me of a quote that I heard. I was scrolling through Instagram and I saw this quote, and it said, oh man, it's slipping me now. It said, oh, good isn't good enough when great is expected. Like
Very
that
good.
that was what I read, and I was like, that is very, very true. Because a lot of times I agree with you. Like, it's like a lot of times, especially when you're going through the day in, the day out, the typical things, a lot of times you'll just be like, okay, that's good enough. That's fine. That'll get it done. But if what you need is to be great, or greatness is expected, good enough simply just isn't gonna cut it. And honestly, the way I see it, and let me know your thoughts on this too. When you do good enough work, especially when it comes to like goal setting, to me it seems like you're shortchanging yourself of what you could actually be. Like if you say, let's just take, because I'm in this zone as well. Let's say you're in the fitness space, right? And you
Mhm.
say you want to lose a certain amount of pounds. Let's just say you want to lose like 10 pounds or something in like 2 months, right? Just something arbitrary. And then so your goal was 10 pounds in 2 months, and after 2 months you only lost, let's say, 3 pounds. You'll say, oh, that was good enough, right? You'll say,
No,
oh, that was good enough. And of course we're not going to get into the whole topic of any kind of other, like,
right.
any other like bodily issues that may have prevented you from doing that. Let's just say you're average person, average healthy, you have the ability to lose 10 pounds through diet and exercise, and you only lost the 3 and you wanted to lose 10. That's not good enough, right? You're
Mhm.
shortchanging yourself on that goal. So give me your thoughts on what you think of that. Like, good isn't good enough when great is expected.
Yeah. So as long as you are expecting the greatness of yourself, don't let anybody else put their opinions and demands on you. You are responsible for you. So I'm going to back it up just a small step. Well, it's probably a big step. The biggest thing that you'll ever do for yourself is to accept responsibility for your past and your actions. Nobody's put a gun to your head. Nobody has threatened you. You have caved to whatever peer pressure, social pressure, or professional pressure. Your where you are today is you. And the skills and everything that you have right now have got you this far. So something needs to change. And if you are making a commitment to yourself and you're not keeping it, you need to start there. Because if you're not keeping the commitments to yourself to lose 10 pounds, 5 pounds a month, then what are other commitments are you not keeping? Chris says to me often, hold on, let me see if I can do this. Keep your commitments big and small. Keep everyone, keep them all.
Mm.
And it's
I like
it's
that.
yeah, it's irritating, but it's so true. If you're going to make a promise to yourself to lose 10 pounds in 2 months, what prevented you? Well, I went out with the girls. Well, okay, so what were you doing that you did not live up to that commitment? Did you lose sight of your goal? And when that happens, I would say, again, let's back up and think about why you have that goal. I mean, it's not so that my mother will be happy, it's so that I feel better. And then what? So, what if you feel better? Well, I'll just feel stronger, more confident. And that confidence translates into being able to do more, stand up for yourself. So, again, backing up, like when I started making changes, one of the first things that happened is that I suddenly had a bit more confidence in myself because I had someone behind me, my coach, telling me that she expected something of my actions. And I started creating a job that I wanted. I started changing things in the office that I was in. I told my employer I was no longer going to be doing A, B, and C. He would need to find somebody else to take care of that because I was done. After being in that office for 15 years, I didn't need to be doing these things anymore. I needed to do something different. And so your confidence changes, and then your self image changes. And when your self image changes and you see yourself doing something better and you know why that's changing, you can conquer the world. So if that 10 pounds is in your way and you didn't make it, why didn't you make it? What is your image? I mean, did you lose sight of who you are going to be and how you are going to feel, how you're going to carry yourself, what that's going to look like? Did you lose sight of the why? Did you lose sight of what's important to you, not everybody else? What is your why? What do you want and why? And what else? And go deeper and deeper. Those are
Mm,
the things that I ask people to do. And when you're starting out, sometimes it's hard. We call that life. Some people would call it fears. Life gets in the way. And I do understand that. But that's why you have a coach or somebody holding you accountable. If you're playing on the football team and you tell coach, you know what, I just can't do it today. Um, I just feel like I need to stay home and, you know, watch TV for an hour or three. Really? You might want to rethink that. you know, when you have somebody holding you accountable, you're not going to slide back because somebody else is holding you accountable. It's so easy to let our commitments go to let our personal commitments go, but really you shouldn't. You got to start with
mm,
yourself. So if you promise yourself something, do it. If you need to put people in place to help you get there, do it. The biggest courage is not the absence of fear, it is doing the thing anyway and moving
mm.
forward, right? And
Okay.
it takes a lot of courage to ask for help,
It does. That it does, yes.
right?
Absolutely, yes. A lot of times you'll see people, they'll just say, "Oh, I don't need to ask for help." Like, why? Oh, I can figure it out by myself. And it's true, you probably could figure it out by yourself. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're no one's denying that at all. However, the case is if you figure it out by yourself, it might take you two, three, four, five, 10 times the amount of time. Like you could take you like a year, 2 years, 3 years just to figure out what somebody else took the same amount of time to figure out. And you can just fast track your way past that. You can get the
Oh,
same
yeah.
information in like a 1 hour conversation with somebody versus going through all the effort of taking a whole year out of your life trying to figure it out. Like
Yeah.
having a coach, having somebody to help you, absolutely. I agree with you there 100%.
It's buying down that learning curve. It's standing on the shoulders of those who have gone before you. And it's leveraging up. It's if you're the smartest person in the room, you should probably leave, find a new
Hmm.
room to hang out in. And if your friends and family are probably not your biggest champions, they believe in you, they want the best for you, go fight, win. But when you say, you know what, I'm going to take this tangent over here, they'll probably say, you know what, that's not going to work for me because I've got you slotted in this space over here. And you might be leaving me behind. And I just don't know what to do with that. So if you could just push that aside, and I'm going to tell you that it's bad for you, it's dangerous, it's risky, you might fail. You know what? You're going to have to find some new friends. And to help that along, very few people have friends from grade school. Very few people have friends from middle school or high school. Friends at work are usually friends of convenience. And when you leave that environment and go off to pursue something else, either as an entrepreneur or you take a new job position, very rarely do they stay with you. The kids, when you start having children and you start meeting the other soccer moms or the other parents, maybe you'll stay friends, maybe not. Chances are really good those things are going to continue to change. And so I say that as encouragement. Don't worry. The people that want to stay with you will stay with you, but they
Hmm.
won't anchor you. They will be right there behind you going, yeah, I don't know what you're doing, but yay. and, and other ones are going to be saying, you know what, you're going to fall down. You're going to fall. Um, Let me see. I watch a lot of people. My most recent mentor was Bob Proctor, and God bless him. He passed away 2 weeks ago. I want to
Mm.
say he was 88, and he's in his mind and in his words, he transitioned to the next phase. That we are here on this earth for a brief time, and so do what you want and explore and pursue everything that's within you. If you believe in God, universe, source, spirit. I don't care what it is. What is that energy that ties us all together? What is it that you believe and that is true for you? That energy is giving you inspiration. When we pray, we are talking to God. When we listen to our intuition, God is talking to us. And it's your responsibility to pursue those things. What are they? Just try them. And you must fail, because it is in failing that you get stronger and that you learn something. And if you're going to keep doing the same damn thing over and over and over and over because it ought to work, I am telling you, it is not going to work. Quit beating your head against the wall and do something new already.
Hmm.
Try something different. Try the complete opposite and see what happens. You never know. You might learn something. You might find a new way. You only have to know that you're going someplace, and the rest will become evident.
Absolutely, yeah. They say that that's the definition of insanity, is doing the same
Yes.
thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. Like it's just not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
And nothing's going to change. And then the other point that you made as well about oh, it just slipped my mind again.
Don't worry. I got all day.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, but the other point that you made, yeah, it was, and the point that you made about yeah, goodness, I already forgot.
Okay, let
Oh
me
man.
let me pick it up. So one of my
Okay.
mentors, my most recent mentor, was Bob Proctor, and he was arguably the best in thought leader in human potential and development. And I love that phrase, human potential. What is your potential? What is within you that you can bring to the surface and share with other people? What is that going to look like? Do you have a thought? I mean, you could sit and study anything here. Let me help you with this one. You can study anything you want. You can buy a book, you can watch YouTube, and you can rent a video. But at the end of the day, how much time is that going to take, rather than having somebody show you what they've already learned and the mistakes that they've already made, and you don't have to make them again? Perhaps what you're doing is not the right thing. Once upon a time, I sold skincare and cosmetics. Network marketing was a ton of fun. It was a great social. And what I found years later in looking back is that I wanted to be like the person who recruited me to the club. I wanted to be that charismatic, fun person. They always had such a life that I wanted. They were happy, they had a positive attitude, they were achieving success, and they were drawing people to them amazingly. But I couldn't do it the way that they were telling me to do it. It didn't work for me. I had to find another direction to approach the same problem. And at the time, I couldn't see that. But today, I can look back and go, that's what it was I wanted. These thought, uh, these thought leaders, Bob Proctor, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Lisa Nichols, Jack Canfield, John Assaraf. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. All
Hmm.
of these people, they start with a positive mental attitude. I can do this. I don't know how, but I can do this. And they have an attitude of gratitude. They are grateful for what they have right now, And that positive mental attitude of going, yeah, this is really good. Oh, hey, look, this thing in my life is really good too. And so the positive things keep coming to them. And when you have that positive mental attitude and you are showing gratitude, people want to help you. They want to come to you. And when you reach out and ask for that help, it's just going to come all the easier. If you remember your favorite teacher in school was the man or woman that was always happy. She was nice. She was glad to be there. And she was glad to take the time and listen to you and help you. And I know that life happens. We all have challenges. Things get in the way. We get married. We have kids. We have a job. The boss sucks. The car breaks. You're overdrawn at the bank. These things happen, and it's called
Mm,
life. But let it go. Move on. Just accept that it's life. It's just something to step over and move on. Nothing is going to be perfect, but it's these failures and these stumbling blocks that are going to make you stronger and help you to see different opportunities. And you just can't keep repeating the same thing over and over again. I work with one woman who she has big, lofty goals, and that's a good thing because it drives her. And she wants to help people. I can't reveal too much, but she wants
mhm,
to help people. She wants them to feel better. That's fine. But her argument is always, well, who's going to take care of my kids? Well, you are. Why would that stop just because you start pursuing another goal? Why not lead your kids by example and start
mm,
setting the path, blazing that trail, and show them what's possible? Why not?
mm,
Start failing forward. Yeah, I think Andy Garcia said that. It's okay to fail, fail forward. Arnold Schwarzenegger said, you have got to fail. You have got to fail because that is the only way you're going to learn anything. Failure is not bad. If you're not trying, you're not failing. Robert Kiyosaki said that if you're not failing, you're not even trying. Anyway, I watch
mm.
these guys, I study them, I go, yes, tell
Yeah,
me more.
yeah,
I write them
it's no
down.
problem. Yeah, it's no problem. All those quotes are good. They're all very relevant. So of course
Yeah, they
they're
are.
fully welcome. Yeah, absolutely. And then what's good is that so you mentioning that actually kind of brings me to one of the questions that I had for you. And like with the person that you were working with, she had a really big goal of wanting to help people, right? But
Yes.
that was the big thing, the big goal, help people, right?
Uh-huh.
But because it was so big for her, right? She had to naturally have had to break it down into
Yes.
smaller, more achievable steps, more achievable goals. So that's the question I have for you. How do you break down those goals to make them more achievable and not have a sense of overwhelm, since these goals
Yeah.
can be so large and just so massive, like it's almost intimidating, as they were saying. A lot of times I've seen on Instagram and everything when people will say, if your goal doesn't scare you, it's not big enough, right?
Right.
But
Yes.
even though that has truth to it and everything, it can still get so big where it's almost like it's overwhelming. So again, the question, how do we break those goals down to make them achievable and not have a sense of overwhelm?
In a word, begin. And I know that a lot of this sounds so cliche because if you're studying human development, personal potential at all, you start seeing these cliches, and the cliches resonate because they're little baby affirmations. And but what you do is you have that goal out there. You know that the bigger goal is that you want to help all of these people, and to do that, I think that being a nurse might be a good thing. So what if I became a nurse? Well, how do I become a nurse? And so you start backing it up. Don't The big goal will always be there. And the road to the goal is not a straight line. I got to tell you, dude, that is never going to be a straight line. It's going to go up, down, backwards. Sometimes you're going to get dizzy and throw up, and other days you're going to really and truly need to spend a day on the couch binging Netflix. That's the only way that it's going to happen. But what you do is you begin. You
Mm,
begin by maybe researching that bigger goal. Um, when I was very young, somebody in Sunday school said, "Well, how do we rescue the whole world?" And the Sunday school teacher said, "You just start at home. You
mm,
start in that small area, and it will start. The rest will start to take care of itself." And I say that about goals too. I want to help people. I want them to all feel better. So how is that going to happen? Well, maybe I should become a nurse because then I can help people and then I can start doing that. Or maybe I just need to meet this one person. Maybe let's pick on Robert Kiyosaki. Why not?
Sure, why not?
Do you know who Robert Kiyosaki is? I should ask that. Do
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, author of
Okay.
Rich Dad Poor Dad, yeah.
Yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy. Okay. I met somebody who was like, they had no idea who Robert Kiyosaki was. And I had to go sit down and take a minute and just, okay, well, they've been under a rock for the past 25 years. But okay, let's start again. Let's find something. Anyway, um, you know what? I know that Robert Kiyosaki likes to donate to charities. I bet if I met that man and gave him a real speech about that cause, he would be willing to do that. So, how do I start meeting Robert Kiyosaki? Well, I need to take one of his classes. I need to start pursuing that kind of a lifestyle that's going to put me in that same circle. You start backing it up and breaking it down into smaller things. And then you can start achieving smaller goals. And when you achieve a small goal, then you can achieve a bigger goal. And when you can get to that bigger goal, you can achieve a bigger goal. And don't worry about this thing that's out in the distance. Just know that it's always there, that you've made that promise to yourself, kind of like a birthday candle wish, right? We've all done
Mhm.
that. Sat there, you stared at that candle hard, and you have really made that wish, whatever it is. Maybe it's the Buzz Lightyear doll, and you have blown out that candle, but you don't tell anyone what your wish is. You just hold it in your heart and you know that it's going to happen, and it's going to happen because you start bringing yourself to it. You start attracting those things to you.
Mm,
That's the law of attraction.
yep.
Law of attraction is not sitting cross-legged in the middle of the living room with incense and candles saying om. That is not it. The
No,
law
it's
of
not.
attraction.
Common misconception. I've seen it so much. People are like, "Oh, do you believe in the law of attraction or something?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do." They're like, "Oh, that mumbo jumbo." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. It's not mumbo jumbo. It's you probably heard that it sounds kind of like it because you probably think it's just
Right,
you sit there and you're like, I want $1 million. I want $1 million. I want $1 million. And you look around. I don't have my $1 million. Well, the law of attraction is just a bunch of
right,
baloney. Yeah, it doesn't count. No, that's not at all how that works. Like
right.
the idea behind it is that you set a goal, you have that feeling of like, yes, I have this and I want it. And then you have it so deep inside of you that you're just like, you basically are thinking to yourself, I already have it. And so you're
Yes,
acting in a way that you already have it. And then you're taking steps towards getting it while at the same time feeling like you already have it. And then eventually it will then begin to manifest itself. That is
exactly.
the law of
That
attraction.
that is the law of attraction. I couldn't have done that better. That is exactly it. It is seeing it and feeling it and acting as if, and you start carrying yourself differently. So, the name of my company is called Envision Results because I want you to envision what your future is going to look like. I want you to envision what that's going to feel like. How are you going to carry yourself? What is your life going to look like? How are you going to treat people? How are you going to treat yourself? And when you start embracing that future today, embracing those feelings and those sentiments today, you will start taking yourself to that place. You can't help but do that. Your standards are changing. You're rewiring your brain to be more and to achieve more, and you're expecting more of yourself. And it doesn't happen overnight. Bad habits take time to fix. Paradigms are a collection of habits. By the time we are 30, I think 98% of what we do is a habit. Everything that we do is a habit. The way we put on our shoes, brush our teeth, put on our clothes, walk to the door, all of that's habit. And paradigms are a collection of habits put in a specific order to accomplish a task. So if you've got a bad habit, it's probably affecting your paradigm. So if you see yourself as, I'll pick on me, I'm just the admin. I'm just the admin. Nobody wants me to be anything but the admin. Well, that's because that's how I saw myself. That's how I conducted myself. And those are the habits that I had. I kept them very, very low level. And when somebody suggested to me that I could change that by seeing a different future for myself and believing it and having the faith in me that I could do that and start really looking at it, I started to fix it. And I started to fix it a little bit at a time, one thing at a time. I showed up
Mm.
earlier. I spoke up at the meetings. I wasn't just the one in the back taking notes. I moved myself forward. I actually sat at the table and pushed somebody else out of the way. That was a big deal because they weren't impressed. But you know what? That's okay. It wasn't about them. Anyway,
Mhm.
those things happen. But like you said, that law of attraction, it's not mumbo jumbo and it is not magic. It is about feeling it, doing it, and you will start taking yourself there. That is the law of attraction. That positive mental attitude and that gratitude brings more of that to you. That is the law of attraction. Having somebody, your old roommate, pay you back the $50 that he borrowed, I don't know, a year ago, just out of the blue. Dude, here it is. I know it's been a long time. That's manifesting because all of a sudden that money is showing up. But it's your energy that is changing and it's affecting your connection to God, universe, source, and spirit. Those things are real. That energy. Einstein said that we are all energy vibrating at different levels. And when you start changing the way that you vibrate, that level of energy, things start changing for you every single day. And it takes practice. Everything takes practice.
Mm, oh, yep, absolutely. I 100% agree with you there. Absolutely, yes. That's why I started believing in the law of attraction myself. 'Cause I'm just like, eventually, as long as I used it as a way to kind of motivate myself. Part of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
name of this episode, well, not just the episode, the part of this podcast rather is motivate, grind, succeed, right?
Yeah.
So that's actually I've said it before in past episodes, but I mean, why not? I'll say it again. Like the background of how I got the name of the show, right? It started off with the ideas in college of just me watching a bunch of those motivational videos that you see have like 3.5, 7.2 million views on them, right?
Yeah.
Those things that are just like they have the dramatic music in the background. They probably got the rock working now, and they have a motivational speaker as well, maybe some captions just for some flair, and they're also sprinkled with like 1,700 ads in there as well if you don't have ad block. So yeah, all those. I started off watching all those, and I ended up seeing I was watching those a lot more than I was actually doing my work. And so then I realized, for some reason, I am spending 2 hours watching motivational videos and 30 minutes doing my actual schoolwork. Hmm, something's not right here. Maybe I
Right.
need another motivational video to motivate me some more to do some more schoolwork. And so it just became this vicious cycle of doing such. And then I realized, something's not working. And that's when I saw the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I think I'm going insane because I'm watching these videos over and over and over again and expecting myself to get better at doing schoolwork, and it's not happening. So that's when I found out. I did a little research on motivation and everything, and I found out that I was actually being motivated externally instead of internally or
Yeah.
intrinsically. So then when I finally made that switch to say, okay, I need to be more internally or intrinsically motivated, that's when I started seeing a lot more of the change. And that's when I started realizing, okay, it's one thing to motivate yourself, but that motivation eventually needs to turn into a discipline, right?
Hmm.
And that discipline needs to be habitually done. And
Hmm.
then it needs to be done day in, day out. Days you don't feel like it, days you do feel like it. Days where it's 2 a.m. and you still haven't gotten stuff done. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. And that's where I got the grind part of the motivate, grind, succeed, because that is the daily grind. It's not pretty, it's not glamorous, it's not fun. It's usually a lot of the BTS behind the scenes work that
Yep.
needs to be done, and no one's going to see it being done, but you know it needs to be done. And then eventually, some arbitrary amount of time later, because I can't put a time frame on what your success looks like because everyone's definition of success is different of what they want to see in their life. But
Hmm.
after some arbitrary amount of time, you will eventually achieve the success that you're looking for via the law of attraction. So that's essentially how I got the motivate, grind, succeed. That's how I named it, and that was the whole thing behind it. So you talking about law of attraction, I just want to share that again for the listeners, but but I mean repetition, it helps it to kind of solidify like why is it that I named it what I did, and then just bringing up the law of attraction, like I said already, I definitely do agree with you there. It definitely helps a lot. It makes a lot of sense, and I follow it day to day. So
Yeah.
thank you for appreciate that the insight into that.
You have to practice, nothing. Little babies have to practice walking. Some of them have to practice breathing. They have to practice eating. All of these things that we take for granted that we know how to do, at some point they were awkward and you have to just begin. And you never start with your entire life. You start with one or two things. If you have an emotional impact, say a death, birth of a child, a bad diagnosis, you get kicked out of school or get fired, perhaps you will make some bigger changes straight away, because those feelings are very strong. And it's about feeling. Neville Goddard wrote a book called Feeling is the Secret. And when you feel something strongly, that is when you start to take action. And so, if you're going to start changing things arbitrarily without a feeling of why, it's going to take more work. But everything takes practice. Give
Mm-hmm.
yourself a break and just start to practice. So, write it down, and write down what you do today and write down the way it should be tomorrow, and understand what you're doing. Shred it, burn it, let go of what it is that you're doing today, and start embracing what you should be doing tomorrow. And read it, write it, repeat it. Read it, write it, repeat it. That's what we learned in school. Read it, write it, repeat it. And that will serve you well. It's mundane, but very, very effective.
Mm.
Feel it. Feelings are words that we have created to describe the vibration that we're in: anger, envy, happy, jubilant, sleepy. These are all states of being, and we have words that describe them. So what do you want to be? Where do you need to change? And don't worry about my journey versus your journey versus the next person's journey. You stay to your journey. You be true to you, and you follow your path, and you will achieve unparalleled success as long as you continue to do that. And it begins with work. It begins with identifying what you're doing and why, and setting up a new what you want to do and why. And when you start losing that motivation, you can start, you need to go back to the why. People talk about vision boards
Mm.
being a waste of time and this and that and the other.
Mm-mm.
Maybe
Mm-mm.
they are, maybe they aren't. It keeps that picture. It's just something that you can glance at and go, oh, yeah, that's what I want. Okay, that's what I want. Um, what do you want? Get a visual image. We're visual. People are visual. You know, if I ask you to describe your car, you're not going to come up with a list of words in your mind. You're going to come up with a picture and start describing it with words. If I ask you to describe your house, you're not going to give me a list. You're not going to see a list of words in your mind. You're going to see a picture. You're going to start describing that. So keep a visual image. That's what your vision board is. One of my coaches said to use Pinterest and Canva to do a vision board. So this is a fun thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Pinterest and start cruising and finding all these images that you really, really like, right? And save them to a private or a secret board. It's just for you. Then go to Canva. You don't need to sign up. Just it's a free account, and start bringing in the images that you like and arranging them on a sheet, just a blank sheet in Canva, and save it as a PNG file, not a PDF, a PNG file. And then you can import it onto your laptop as your wallpaper. And you can always see it every time that you log in. You can start doing that. You can do that for your phone as well, so that when you're scrolling, because we all spend time on our phone, you can see those images that you want. The image that I have on my phone is a stack of $100 bills.
Mm. Okay.
Because, well, right this minute, I have a plan for those $100 bills. And so that's what I'm working for. Yeah. Anyway,
Law of attraction. There you
law of
go.
attraction, baby, is
There you
bring
go.
it. Me
There
and
you
Ben,
go.
we are going to
Awesome.
do this thing. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Hmm. Yeah. So that was great point. Awesome. I want to backtrack just a little bit and then unpack
Yeah.
what you said a little bit about the start with why.
Uh-huh.
Because it kind of leads a little bit into another question that I had, right? So Simon, I think it was Simon Sinek. I think he wrote a book called Start with Why,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
very, very good book. And for those of all who haven't read it, read it.
Read it.
Read it. Absolutely read it. I was gonna say let me summarize it, but no, I'm just
No,
gonna just
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 read
just,
it.
just read it. It's a very good book, very good read. As long as you
Yeah.
take the time, it shouldn't take you that long to read through it. Right. But with that, right, starting with why, and then also going back a tiny bit more, kind of
Hmm.
combining that with what you said before about when you feel strongly about something, you begin to take action, right?
Yes.
Some people that I've talked to before, when they've had these big things changed in their life, right? They sometimes they'll come up with their goals, but they'll sometimes come up with a lot of goals, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes they might go through some kind of experience and they'll say, okay, because of this, I wanna get in shape. and I want to start a YouTube channel, or they want to start a business as well. And they also want to travel the world while doing that as well. And they have all these like tons and tons of goals that they wrote down. And that's fine. Have as many goals as you want. But the question that comes into my mind after that is, how do you prioritize those? First of all, is it necessary to, which I believe it's necessary to prioritize what you want and prioritize your life goals. But how would we then prioritize those goals?
Make a list, sit down, and start. And it might take you a few days and a few tries. I find spiral notebooks to be my very best friend. I've got a stack of them around here somewhere. It doesn't need to be anything formal or fancy. And start writing down the things that you want, from a cup of coffee to world peace. And start writing down the things you want. What do you want to? Where do you want to travel to? What are your fitness goals? What are your financial goals? What are your professional goals? And what are your spiritual goals? Faith, family, fitness, finances, and friends. Okay, those 5 things are the things that trip people up. But start setting some goals for those and make a shopping list. Don't worry about good, bad, or otherwise, big, small, can't possibly do it. Who cares if you can do it or if you can't? That's not even relevant. Suspend disbelief for just a few minutes and write it all down.
Mm.
Every last thing. And um, and then set it aside and come back to it another time and see what starts to jump out at you when you read it. What's going to jump out at you? And maybe it's traveling to Vietnam or Thailand to pet the elephants. Maybe that. Maybe that's the thing that jumps out at you right now. And if that's the thing that starts to jump out, then you know that that's the goal that you're going to start with. And so the thing to do next is to start looking at trips to Thailand. How do you do that? I mean, what does that look like? And the trip that you really, really want, what does that look like? How much money is that going to cost? And is it 1 year out or is it 2 years out? Do you need to make sure that somebody's going to be able to take care of the cats and water the plants while you're gone? And so that it starts to back itself up. To prioritize them, they'll prioritize themselves. It's for you to get them out onto paper, and it's for you to admit that you have goals. A lot of people say to me, "Oh no, I don't have any goals. I'm just fine. I'm just fine." Comfortable is a bad place to be. You
Mm-hmm.
need to get uncomfortable. You need to start to stretch. Like working out, you don't want to injure yourself, but you do want to feel a little bit of burn. You do want to feel a little bit of pain, and you want to stretch yourself, and you want to go a little bit further, a little bit further. And so as you get this laundry list or this shopping list, let's call it a shopping list, as you stare at it, sometimes you're going to go, this one I don't need anymore. That's okay. But this one I really, really want. One goal that I've always, always, always wanted, I want to sail on a yacht out in the Greek Isles. I so want to do that. I
Ooh.
don't know how I'm going to make that happen, but I really, really want to do it. So
With
it's
small steps.
still, yeah, one small step. Okay, how do I get to Greece? Well, right this minute, that's a problem. But doesn't mean I can't start saving up the money.
Mm.
And then I can worry about getting there, because once I have that fun money, $5,000 or $10,000, because, well, if you're going to be on a yacht out in the middle of the Greek Isles, you really don't want to have to be budgeting how you're tipping the cabin boy.
Right.
You really want to just go for it, right? Make that shopping list. Start looking at the ones that jump out at you. And maybe right this minute, it's a small thing. And it's not that world peace. It's not world peace. Even Mother Teresa wasn't searching for world peace. She was Hungarian, I think. She was a nun, and she was on assignment. And there were people who needed to be taken care of. And so she made that her calling because that's what felt right to her. Lo and behold, a bunch of years later, was an amazing woman, and people revere her as a saint because she just continued to pursue what was in her heart. Now, we
Mm.
can't all be Mother Teresa, but we can all pursue what is in our heart. We can all start with that. Start with what it is you want, and then dig deeper. Well, why else do you want? What else do you want? Well, why? What's that going to do for you? You can't necessarily just, well, I want to provide for my kids. Everything is about my kids. Back that up a bit. It's not always about your kids, because if there's nothing within you, you can't give to your kids. So you need to start with you. You need to start, physically, financially, spiritually, and emotionally. Those have to be full and overflowing. And then you can give to your kids. And the best way to give to your kids is to lead by example. Well, how
Mm.
do I start doing these things? You get help, you ask for help. You find a book, you take a class, you talk to somebody, you join a networking group, you go to Meetup, you take a risk and ask your parents, well, who do they know? You ask your pastor, who does he know? You start making inroads a little bit at a time. And like I said earlier, the biggest courage is asking for help. You're not in this alone. Nobody is in this alone. And we all look at these rags to riches stories as being amazing. But you know what? That person just happened to start there and then told themselves that they were going to do better and do more. And they stuck with it. And they took one step and the next step and the next step. And there were lots of failures along the way, but they continued on that path. I'm going to be better and better and better. And so that's the challenge to every person. I make a lot of mistakes. I have plenty of challenges, lots of habits that I should be getting rid of. But it's a work in progress. It's just
Hmm.
starting and it's beginning and it's looking at that shopping list of what do I want and why do I want it? Well, I want to experience this thing. I want to meet that person. I want to go to this place. And at the end of the day, I want somebody to actually remember my name.
Ooh.
Oh, so how does that happen? Well, I don't know. Let me think. How could that happen? What if there was a city park named after me? What if I set up a trust fund or a scholarship? What if? And so somewhere down the road, that's going to happen. What is your big goal? And that might be kind of nebulous right this minute, but down the road, it'll start to crystallize as you start moving forward and you start pursuing your dreams and you start checking things off of that laundry list. And if you want to look at me and say, no, there's nothing else I need to do, then your bucket list is full and it's complete, right?
Hmm.
Probably not. When people, when people are faced with their bucket list, it's probably not done. There's more to be done. How about
Mm.
that?
That's definitely a lot to chew on right there.
It
Definitely.
is.
Yeah,
It
it is.
is. Break it down. Break it down. Just start with something small. You know what? Manifest a cup of coffee. Manifest a cup of coffee. Somebody's going to call me and say, let's go to coffee. Okay, let's start with that one.
Ah.
Break it down. Don't let it be so heavy. It can be heavy. It kind of depends on what you want to do, you know?
Hmm. Absolutely, yeah. Just off all the time. Just starting small. That is like the motto or the moral of the story here. Is just whatever goal you have, just start small. Right?
Just start small.
There's always something you can do to
Yeah,
to start.
exactly.
But
Yeah.
also at the same time, as a fair warning, when you're starting small, also don't fall into the analysis paralysis mode either.
Oh my gosh, that's so
Because
me.
that I
So
know
me.
because that happens to me a lot of times too, especially when I was first starting to get into fitness, and it happens to many people, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if people were, if we had like a live audience right now, I would just say like, oh, raise your hand if you fall victim to the analysis paralysis thing, and I guarantee you, I'd have both hands and both feet up because it happens all the time, right? Like I said, especially when I got into the fitness space, I was like, oh, fitness is really cool. And I was just researching everything and anything to the point where I was just like, okay, I need to get a workout done. But I'm like, okay, but what do I want to work today? Like, okay, maybe I can work upper, but I could also work lower. But there's different kind of splits to the workouts, right? Like I could do the upper lower split. I could do the push pull legs. I could do like a 3-2. I could do a full body. But if I did that, is so much information that by the end of the day, I was already mentally pooped, and I'm like, I'm just gonna work out tomorrow. So don't
Oh
fall
my
into the analysis paralysis trap either, right? If you're
Ooh,
going to do research, that's fine, but just keep it to what you actually need. And
make a
yeah.
decision and yeah, make a decision and move forward. The greatest successes in this world make decisions quickly and change their minds very slowly, if at all. And it is very, 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 very easy to fall back into old habits and say, you know what, it's just, what I've been doing is good enough.
Mm,
It's not.
there's the good enough again.
It is. It is. Stop doing that. If you know that you can do something better, you owe it to yourself to do it better. And when you get to that better, you will see that you can do even better. And you keep leveling up because the only thing that is holding you back from the success that you envision for yourself is your mindset and what you see for yourself. And it is your current set of skills that have got you this far. You're going to need to level up and change that set of skills and change the vision for yourself if you're going to level up again. You have got to keep climbing, and it's always going to be uncomfortable. You're not allowed to stay comfortable for too long. I give you permission, for what that's worth, to feel what you feel. So once upon a time, I was kicked out of a mastermind because I needed somebody to hear me that my life was falling apart and I didn't know what to do. And they said, you know what, you're a downer. You don't belong in this group anymore. Goodbye. I was heartbroken. So a few days later, I called everybody in the mastermind. I apologized to them. I thanked them for their counsel. And I said, I will take care of it. And I realized that I just needed to be heard. I just needed to explore what I was feeling so that I could recognize it, why, and then move on to the next and a new why. And I find that really, really important. Some personal development coaches forget that feeling bad is really necessary so that you know what it feels like to feel good. It's important to recognize that social media is very scripted and curated to be in this bright, shiny world. And we're all supposed to feel bright and shiny, but that's not true. Because behind that, we all have other feelings that need to be felt and expressed and recognized so that you can put forth the bright and shiny. It's okay to stumble and fail and feel bad about it. But you have to recognize what happened and why so that you can figure out what you're going to do and why. It always comes back to what and why and what and why. Just stick with that. Stick with that. And it's going to take time. It takes practice. Discipline is practice. Habits are practiced. Success is practice. Anxiety is a habit. Let that go. Feeling bad is a habit. Let that go. Feeling overwhelmed is a habit. Let that go. If you can force yourself to laugh the next time something just goes terribly wrong, conditions accepted, sometimes that might not be appropriate, but if you can just step back and recognize, okay, this didn't work the right way. Let's do something different. You'll find that you're able to move forward more easily. The next step becomes easier. Those goals become easier. And when you get to one goal, you're going to see that there's a whole world of other goals to get to. Just begin. One little thing. Start with a cup of coffee and go. And if you hire a coach, this is how I'll kind of bring this together. That coach is not your friend. That coach is there to push you and to hold you accountable and to point out the things that you need to see and hear. That's their purpose. You are your own hero. That coach is merely a guide and a thorn in your shoe or a thorn in your side to keep you moving forward. That's what they do. That's what I want you to do. Figure out how you're going to keep moving forward. That's going to keep pushing you. And it's getting help.
Absolutely. 100% agree with that. Yes. That was very good. Very deep, very, very thought-provoking for sure. Oh, that's a lot of thought-provoking stuff in this episode, man. My
I'm
goodness.
so sorry. Did it need to be lighthearted?
No, 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 no.
I've
If
been
anything,
reading
it's
a
good.
book and it was very thought provoking. I've been doing a lot of, every time I'm on a podcast, I try to do some homework and make sure that I'm ready and that I have the best questions and the things that inspire me or cause me to think. Because as we start to think and we start to recognize what it is that we want and how we feel and how we want to feel, then we start moving forward. That's where success starts to come. That's when change happens. And when change happens, everything else starts to happen. You cannot continue, you can't see changes. You can't change a thing if you keep looking through it with the same set of glasses. You need to change it up. That's what an outside opinion is for, to help you see things differently. When you change your perspective changes. You start seeing things differently. Ask somebody to help you to see something differently, and things will start to change. Just begin. That cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm. Just put that on a t-shirt. Just start with a cup of coffee.
You know what? That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Start with a cup of coffee.
There you go.
Yeah,
Perfect. T-shirt. There you
exactly.
go. Teespring.com. There you go. Not sponsored. There you go. You can get that going.
Yay! I can do
Aw
that.
Perfect. Okay. And then I had one more question for you that I had
Sure.
that I would like to kind of pick your brain on a little bit. And what you said before kind of segues pretty well into it. And you're saying that when you start small and then you reach goal after goal after goal after goal, right?
Mhm.
How often should we be setting those goals? Right? Because like you can have this big overarching goal, like we talked about however long ago in this episode that we did, but at the same time, you also might want to do like small check-ins and those
Mhm.
other small goals that you're using as well as, we'll say, you're using the small goals as check-ins, right? How often should you be setting those? Is there like a set time frame? Is there like a 3 month, 6 month, 9 month check-in? How often should we really be setting those goals then, generally, for us to be able to get to those bigger ones, like those check-ins, if there is a time frame for that?
Um, hmm. I wouldn't say that there's a time frame at all. I think that as you achieve one goal and you get comfortable, it's time for the next goal. If you're starting to feel really comfortable and you've got it all going on and life is just easy, it's time for a new goal, dude. It's time to move on because it's that comfortable that's going to keep you content and it's going to get you to settle to good enough. I have a girlfriend whose defining moment was back in high school, and she's 55 today. It's long time for her to level up and to do something more, right? So when you start getting too content for too long, then it's time for some new goals. And I think that once a person begins to achieve goals, set goals, and achieve goals, I think one just kind of leads to the other. If they have any desire for more success, and again, we defined that earlier as however you want to spend your time, then goals just start becoming the next thing to do. Plenty of people will tell you to have a daily goal, a weekly goal, a monthly goal, 3 years, 5 years. Um, Donald Miller even says, write your eulogy and read it every morning so that you know how you're going to be remembered. And every so often, you go through that eulogy and you scratch out something, you add a new thing. I want to be remembered as the person who created a new cup of coffee. I want to be remembered as the person who set up that scholarship account, or so. Okay, we're going to scratch that out. The coffee is not really relevant anymore. So I want to be remembered as a person with, lots of friends and family. And you start changing up that eulogy. But that's out there, and that's to keep you focused that this life is finite and it's short, relatively short. So you should start achieving goals. You should start doing something now and don't worry about making mistakes. And if you can work your hobbies into it, maybe that'll help you continue to achieve goals. I like to bake and cook. And so when I need to think something through, I go find a recipe. Usually it's chocolate chip cookies. I make really good chocolate chip cookies and I start with that. And I get organized. So back to your point, the goals, set them as often as you think you need them. Don't let yourself get too comfortable. There's no set time, rhyme, reason. Just keep moving forward. And when you get comfortable, start thinking about doing the next thing. Get out that shopping list. What's it going to be? Go with whatever your assets are. Like I said, the rags to riches stories are really compelling because, gosh, this guy came over on a boat with $5 in his pocket and he just became a gajillionaire, right? Or this person grew up in a family with every perk and privilege, and they took the time to meet their father's friends and to start achieving new successes and making new industries or growing the family business. Why not? They're two different things, but they're both really compelling. Start where you are, get one thing done, and go to the next thing. There's no timeline. As long as you keep moving forward and you keep seeking new experiences, that will keep you going toward those goals. That will keep you looking for new things.
Mm.
And then the goals and the purpose will take care of themselves. Don't worry about those. I don't think there's a timeline. As you get older and your life starts changing and life starts throwing you a curveball, and it will. Um, those goals are going to change. The things that once were important are no longer important, but they'll keep evolving. Let yourself keep evolving and growing, and that there. I don't know where else to go with that one.
No,
It's
that
just
was a good
that.
answer. That was definitely a good answer. And part of what you were talking about reminded me. I'm pretty sure you've heard of the guy named Jim Quick. If you've heard of him
Yes.
before,
Oh, yeah. Quick
yes,
learning.
yes,
Yes, I
yes,
like him.
yes. With him, when you were talking about that, and we've been talking about the start with why and the start small. It reminded me of his S3, right? His small simple steps, and then being
Yeah.
able to take those. I think the example he gave was actually like waking up to go to the gym, right? He said instead of setting the big goal is to go to the gym in the morning and work out. But the small goal was to start off by just saying, first thing you want to do is just put on your running shoes. That's the first goal. It's something that's so small,
Yeah.
it's so easy, it's literally almost impossible to fail, right? You just put on your running shoes,
Right.
and then there you go. That's it. If you do nothing else, that was your first goal accomplished. Then the next day, you put on your workout shirt and your running shoes. And if you're feeling real adventurous, then you can put
Mhm.
on the running shorts too. Of course, obviously, hopefully not in that order. And then, of course, when you get in the car, and then you can go, and then you can go to the gym. And then eventually, as you're already in motion, it's eventually just it becomes that snowball effect, right? Because a lot of times what I've
Yeah.
realized, and you'll see it throughout, if you do any kind of research on it at all, you'll see usually the biggest point of resistance for wanting to do anything is right at the beginning. Once you
Uh-huh.
get past that
Yeah.
initial wall of resistance, everything else becomes easier. Like honestly, all the times when I come home and I was like, I really don't want to work out today. As long if I put on my workout headphones and then I start playing the music and I just start doing some jumping jacks. Once I start getting that going, then I get into that mindset of, that wasn't so bad. I'm already starting. I might as well just keep going and finish now since I've already
Mhm.
started. There's no point in me just wasting all this time now because now I feel like now I just failed, right? Like now I just failed with the goal that I was going to
Right.
accomplish. I started, I didn't even finish it. So what was the point of that? So now you feel worse if you're going to end off beforehand. So, but the point I'm trying to make with that is just start really small, something
Yeah.
you basically can't fail essentially, and
Yeah.
then work up from there to get past that initial point of resistance, and then eventually you'll be able to go on ahead and do what it is that you wanted to do from the start.
Mm. Those stumbling blocks, you brought it up, like when you come home, it's like, I don't want to go work out. I'm tired. It's not going to happen today. But you force yourself, and what you're doing is you're changing the paradigm. You're changing that set of habits. You're changing um, that comfort zone. So the brain is wired to not expend energy that does not support its survival. And
Mm-hmm.
so it seeks out the path of least resistance. And if that's binging Netflix, that is pretty much a path of least resistance. And so you have to start rewiring your brain, changing those habits, changing that habit stack, that paradigm, that habit stack, pull it apart, pull out the part that's not working and insert something new and get that to start fitting together. And it takes time and practice, and you're changing that paradigm,
And it's
that set
constant
of
too.
habits. It is constant. It's never ending, but eventually it becomes easier. Um, Flossing your teeth, might not be your habit, but you could probably set it up that there is a cart, a package of dental floss sitting on the bathroom sink every day. And you could probably get yourself to brush your teeth and then at least pick up the dental floss and pretend to use it. Okay, good enough and good enough. And after a fashion, it becomes a habit. A woman washing off her makeup at the end of the day. You know what? I just want to go to bed. I'll just brush my teeth. But if you take the time to change the habit and start washing your face, well, you sleep better, you look better, your skin feels better, and it's all around a better thing. So you know the why. It's just getting yourself in the habit of embracing that, remembering the why so that you do the work. Remember the why and do the work. It's the why that's going to get you there. What is the why? What do you want? I read a story. This is kind of off topic, but not really. I
That's
read a
fine.
story about one of the high level coaches that I follow and try to try to mimic, and was working with a girl who was an Olympic athlete, and she was trying to raise money to go to the Olympics, and she was selling calendars to get to the Olympics, and just like 12.95 wasn't going to get her there very fast. And so she needed to get corporate sponsors. She needed to get money in the door. And she was having a really hard time. And what he helped her to do was to really embrace her why. I mean, why do you want to go to the Olympics? What's the big deal? It's just another sporting event. You could do that probably at your local rec center. And it's like, no, because I want people to know that I'm good. Well, no, I want people to see that I made this work. Well, no, I really want to other people to have the same opportunity. And when she started getting transparent about what it is that she really wanted, that bigger goal, and started talking to corporations about that, started talking to bigger people about that, the calendars went by the wayside and money started coming in.
Mm.
Back to you and me. What's your why? What's the big deal? Well, I want to feel good. I want to be strong. I want to be able to compete. I want to be able to put on a swimsuit for summer. What is your bigger why? What do you want? And you have to really get honest with yourself and start digging deep. And if your why is because I want everybody to worship me when I walk down the street, fine. That's fine. But you
Hmm.
have to be honest with yourself about that why.
Absolutely.
Get to the why.
Hmm. Have you ever heard of a guy named Robert Riopel?
No,
Okay. Well, I was in a mastermind with it. Well, after this show, like, I definitely want you to go
I
look up
will.
Robert Riopel. Robert Raymond Riopel, 3 R's. That's his go to, right? I was in a
Okay.
Yeah, Robert Raymond Riopel. So I was in a mastermind with him, right?
Yes.
And I was in a mastermind with him, and we were having a good time. It was a 2 day long mastermind, and in that mastermind, he talked about asking yourself the 5 whys, and it's literally just that. Just ask yourself why 5 times, and it comes down to what you were saying. Like,
Oh,
let's say you want to become. Let's say you just want to. I don't know. Again, back to fitness because that's what I have a decent amount of knowledge in, right? So let's just say, oh, I want to
yep.
lose weight. So you ask yourself 5 whys. Why? Why do you want to lose weight? Oh, I want to look good for the beach. Why? Oh, because I want to be able to have a 6 pack and look impressive, and just have people like look at me as I'm walking by. Why? Well, because like when I was younger, I was always called like the fatso kid, and I was always overweight, and I had problems doing that. Boom, there you go. You didn't even need to get to the other 2 whys. After 3 asking yourself whys, you got down to the real
Excuse
crux
me.
of why you actually are doing what you're doing. Right. So if it
Hmm.
takes you the extra whys, then sure. If it takes more than 5 whys, then sure, ask yourself more than 5 whys. But the thing
Hmm.
is to be like that childlike curiosity and ask yourself those whys consistently, because
Hmm.
a lot of times when you say a goal and you say the reasoning behind it, most times, sometimes there will be, but most times I found you're not truly transparent from the first thing that you say. So if you ask yourself that why
Hmm.
constantly over and over again and be really truthful and really dig down to what the real root reason is, and you really like embody that root reason and it
Hmm.
really intrinsically drives you, that's when you're going to start taking off. So I just want
Hmm.
to bring that up because I thought that was pretty
Absolutely.
relevant right here.
Absolutely. It's why. It comes down to the why. If you can focus on the why, the rest will become easy. The goals are just the way, just in on the way to the why.
Hmm.
You'll get there. You'll get there.
Absolutely, yeah. And just for you as well, Marnie. Robert Raymond Rapel, he actually wrote a book called "Success Left a Clue." It's very actionable, very
Oh,
a
good.
lot of tips. So if you want to look into it and read it, I definitely recommend reading it. I read it through, and it does have some actual actionable things in there too. So if you definitely, and for the listeners as well, if you also want to look into it, "Success Left a Clue." Again, I'm not being paid to like talk about this guy at all right
Yeah.
now. It's just because it helped me out so much. I just want to spread the wealth of
Yeah.
knowledge. So, but yeah,
Six.
definitely look into that. It was really good. It really helped out a lot with that. And yeah, so definitely look into that. I assure you, you'll probably get a thing or two out of that book. It was really, really helpful, really, really insightful. And again, just after this conversation we've had, I can tell you're a really actionable person. You love taking action, you love to do. So I think you'll really get a really good kick out of this book. So
Excellent. I will look that up straight away.
awesome.
Absolutely. I've got a list of books that I'm supposed to be reading.
Well, I
The
just
one thing
added
about Yeah, the one thing about self-development books, let me say this for everybody out there going, "Okay, yeah, that's fine for her. Yeah, that's fine for her, whatever." Um, when you read a self-development book, it is not like sitting down with a novel, James Patterson or Tom Clancy or Clive Cussler, Harlequin romance. It is not that. It is read it, put it down and think about it and then come back to it. Often it takes time to read them. Don't worry about reading them through and going, yeah, that was kind of a waste of time. I don't think I got anything out of that. It's okay. Slow it down, read a chapter a day. I'm reading The Science of Getting Rich with an accountability partner, and we read one chapter, 3 pages, once a week. we talk about the things that we've learned. And when you read a thing one time, you get one thing out of it. And then you go back and you read it a second time, you come back with that prior knowledge and you get more out of it. And again and again and again. And you just that's it comes back to that repetition, that practice. It's all practice, it's all repetition. That's what that's the point of it. So anyway, I'll go find the science.
Hmm.
Success left a clue. I can't
Yep.
wait.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
always
really
collecting books.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Yeah, because and then a quick side note on that. I know we're getting over the hour mark here, but this conversation is just really good. Um, I know when I was first getting into my personal self development journey, I was one of the people who was just like I was just cramming books down my throat. I was like, "Ooh, success! Oh, personal development book. Okay, give me that, give me that, give me that, give me that." And I was just reading, reading, reading,
Yeah.
reading, 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 and like half the books that I've read, I don't even remember the title anymore because I was just reading just to try to read them. And initially, I was just like, okay, that's a great book. Let me get another one. And then after I started to mature in the self development journey, I started to realize, okay, just like you said, I need to slow down, right? Like, I think I
Mhm.
got to the book by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, right?
Oh, yeah, great book.
Got to that
Yeah.
book. And I think that was a book where I read it through and I was just like, okay, that was a good book. But something in me said, I like this one part. Let me read this part again. And then I read it again, and then I got a lot more information out of it. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
okay, maybe I should start slowing this down some. So I started
Mhm.
reading. So then I went from reading a book like at the time when I first started reading these personal development books, it was like maybe like I would read a book like maybe like in a week or like 3 or 4
Mhm.
days. I would just plow through it because I was just like I was trying to get as much knowledge as possible. Now it I might have a book that's like 200 pages that I could get done in like a week, but it'll take me months to get through. And it's not
Yeah.
because I'm a slow reader at all. It's because I'm really trying to digest what it is that I'm reading. And
Mhm.
that is where the crux and that is where the core of these self-development books comes into play, because a lot of times people just say, oh, they're boring, they don't really help you that much. And again, if it's not your season for like developing in that state, I can see why you'd say it's boring and why it doesn't help you out that much, or anything like that. It doesn't really like tickle your fancy as the fantasy novels do. And if it's not your cup of tea in general, that's all right. It's not your cup of tea, it's fine. But for people
Mhm.
whose cup of tea and cup of chamomile that it is, I'm telling you, you want to read it slow, okay? Some books you could probably just plow through, but you won't get as much information and
Yeah.
value out of it as if you just read it slowly. Like you said, if you need to do it a chapter a day or a chapter a week, take it a chapter a week. If you really need to
Yeah.
just take it and then you read, if you need to take it a page a week, because this one page has this one sentence that just says, I don't know, like start with small, simple steps. When I read the book Limitless by Jim Quick and I heard a podcast that he was on, right? And I heard
Mhm.
that, I honestly just stopped the podcast right there and I was like, yes, small, simple steps. Where can I incorporate small, simple steps? And that's
Mhm.
something that honestly, from since I heard that podcast episode, oh boy, I want to say it was like over a year ago at this point. I probably heard that episode. I'm still implementing small, simple steps. So it just goes to
Mhm.
prove, even though it's one example, it still goes to prove that look, a lot of times with self development, there is so much information out there. You can have analysis paralysis so easily, it's not even funny.
Oh, yeah.
But all you got to do is again start small, grab one chunk of information that really resonates with you with any book that you read, and just
Mhm.
implement that, incorporate that. And that's what I drive home with the outro of all these episodes that I put, as you'll hear in the outro to all the listeners and everybody. That's why I say at the very end to incorporate and to implement what you've heard if you want to see change. Because if you just
Mhm.
listen, you're not going to get any change out of it. You're going to listen and be like, okay, that was a nice use of, I mean, right now we're a little over an hour 13 minutes, but like that was a nice hour 13-minute podcast. All right, time to go wash the dishes. And if you get nothing else out of this, like again, it's the start with why, or the five
Right.
whys that I talked about, or
Yeah.
or how you were talking about, Marnie, about making decisions quickly and changing them slowly. Like all so many good golden nuggets and tidbits in this episode. If you all get nothing out of it, I implore you, rewind this entire episode and listen to it again.
Yeah.
I guarantee there is something in here that you can get.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just starting small. I'm not even going to go through all of them because there was just so many in here. There was so many in here. If you all got nothing out of it, I'm telling you, you all were just like listening, letting it go in one ear, out the other. That's not how you're going to improve. That's not how you're going to change your life, right?
Right,
You
right. It
have.
no, you just got yeah, you gotta
Mhm.
stop, slow down, smell the roses, relax, um, take it one little bit at a time. You cannot change everything overnight. It's just not gonna
Mm-mm.
happen.
No.
You're learning new habits, essentially you're learning a new language, you're rewiring your brain to do something different. And it just takes time. It took time to get you there. It's going to take time to get you out of there. And that's all there is to it. And it's not good or bad. It's just going to take some time. And so
Mm-hmm.
just slow down a little bit. Self-help books are not a novel. They are not just like a quick read, something you're going to do on an airplane. Well, I read them on an airplane, but I'm reading them differently, and I stop and I highlight. I have learned to use my Kindle really, really well, and to get Kindle books, because you can highlight, you can make notes, and then you can move on. It's great. You can print those notes. Fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, um, yeah, just take them one little thing at a time, one thing at a time. So I would say you were pointed out, we're kind of getting long here. For anyone who's wanting to begin, start with a goal. Don't worry about your bigger purpose just yet, because sometimes that's a lot to bite off. You'll figure that out as you start accomplishing goals. Start with a goal. See yourself as having that confidence. Start with that self-image and that self-confidence to acquire that goal. Doesn't matter. You don't have to know how. You just have to know that it's going to happen. And this is where it gets kind of soft. You're going to push it into, you're going to envision what that result is going to look like, and how that's going to feel, and how you're going to feel, and how you're going to behave. Those are the three things that you want to do. Start with a goal, adjust your confidence and your self-image, and envision the end result, and feel it. Feel it, see it. How are you going to act? How are you going to talk? What are you going to be wearing? What's the day going to look like? What does that end goal feel like? And when you start feeling it and believing it, and you have faith that it will happen, go with it, and it will start to happen. That's
Mm,
that law of attraction. That's goal setting. That's manifestation. And that's moving forward. How do we do?
awesome. Absolutely awesome. That's great. All right. Since we're getting towards the end of the episode here, I have two more closing questions that I ask pretty much every guest that I
Yeah,
bring on the show. So, question number
bring it.
one for you. Let's say somebody for some reason like fell asleep at the start of this episode, right? And then they
Mhm.
just woke up just now, right? I'm looking at you in the back, okay? Let's say they just woke up just now. What is one piece of advice, whether it be something you said in the episode already, or just something that you could give to somebody, just say, look, if you got nothing else from this episode, here's one piece of advice I want you to walk away from with this episode with.
Oh, it is your God-given right and responsibility to pursue every inspiration that comes to you. Make the decision and do it.
Mm,
Don't worry about it. Just do it. Your
perfect.
younger self, if you're going to tell your younger self something, it does not matter what other people think. What matters is what you think and how you move forward. Just move forward. Don't worry. Oh, so many people have talked me out of things I wanted to do, and I kick myself for that all the time. Do it. Just do it.
Just do it. Not
Just
sponsored
do
by
it.
Nike. Just do it.
No, just go. Just okay. Get the coffee already. Just get the damn cup of coffee.
I'm telling you, you need to really put something about coffee on a t-shirt. You are an absolute
Yeah.
coffee lover. You should put that on Podmatch too. Something about a coffee lover too.
Yeah, you know what? I am from Seattle, the home of Starbucks. So, I should actually put that in there, just start with a cup of coffee.
Just start with
Yeah.
that is perfect. I think we might even make that the title of the episode. Just start with a cup of coffee. That's actually a really good time for
That's a
this
good
episode.
one.
That's a good time for
There
this
you go.
episode. Actually, we're
Very
gonna make
good.
that the title. Cool. All right, and
Okay,
then and
that's
then
done.
and then the second question that I have for you is that now we got to the end. I mean, of course we've let you have your soapbox, and we'll continue to let you have your soapbox here as well. Where do you want people to go to find out more information about you? Like they're like, oh, I really like Marnye. Maybe they want to work with her. Maybe if you want to follow you on social media, like
Mhm.
what do you want people to do to go find out more about you?
So I am not a huge. I don't have a website, so I don't know what that is. But what I do have is a Facebook account, and everybody's on Facebook. Just go find me on Facebook. Send me a message. Let's talk. There's no cost. There's no obligation. There's nothing like that. And you can see what I post. You can listen to my Facebook lives, and you can decide if that's something that you really want to pursue. It's just an easy way to do what you're already doing. It's just another account. There's no obligation. You know, I'm not here to scare anybody or anything like that. Just go to Facebook and find me on Facebook at Envision Results. I'm on Instagram at Envision Results. The two things are connected. I saw something where one bought out the other, and they're just the same thing now. So
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty simple.
Absolutely. There you go, guys. Envision Results. I will leave a link for that in this episode's
Thank you.
description. You all can go click on it, follow her, do whatever you got to do. Definitely recommend checking her out. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Rashawn. This has
Thank
been so much fun.
Man, I should be thanking you. This was a fun hour. I've had a great conversation. It was great. It was fun.
Thank you. Thank you. We
Definitely.
can do it again sometime.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely.
There you
Absolutely.
go.
So, to all the listeners, thank you all so much for tuning in to another fantastic episode of the Motivate Grind Succeed podcast. I'm your host, Rashawn, and I will see you all when I see you all next week. Take care, you all.